There's a particular reason why they have me interviewing Bob. I don't know if it's obvious to you guys or not. So, Bob, thanks for being with us today.
Great to be here.
You bring a really unique perspective to technology and the entire legal field, right? You are literally a celebrity lawyer in many senses of the word. And so I want to just kind of pick your brain a bit and share some perspectives from your unique vision with the crowd today.
Great.
And as we talked about yesterday, usually, as a moderator, my job is to go and meet with these guys beforehand and make sure that we've got everything what do you want to talk about? What do you want to share? And Bob said, I'm good. I'll do it extemporaneously. You throw anything you can at me. It dawned on me, this is one of the most famous lawyers in modern history. I probably don't have much you guys have seen before. So we're just
If time allows, we'll take some questions from the audience.
I love it. Great. So let's start there. You're a bit of a Renaissance man. You have been in law for many, many years, right? And you are on some of the most famous civil and criminal cases that we've seen in recent times. But you've also helped to start 3 different companies, 2 of which have had a radical impact on the legal field. Honest question for you, right? You are a named partner in a large law firm. Are you a Renaissance man, or are you using technology to stay one step ahead of everybody else in your field?
You know, I think I'm just a lucky guy. Putting it really simply, LegalZoom was the first step of doing what I always wanted to do. I never wanted to be a lawyer. I became a lawyer because I was graduating from UCLA. The Vietnam War was raging, and in order to stay out of Vietnam, you had a couple choices. You could burn your draft card, go to Canada, neither of which appealed to me, or get a deferment. So I decided I'll try to get a deferment, but they didn't have any graduate business schools. I was a finance major. So I decided, well, you know what, I'm going to apply to some law schools, see what happens. And that was the start of the legal career.
From humble beginnings.
Yeah.
Amazing. So tell me a little bit just about this career. Now, I want to get to technology, but I think it's important to share your background with the audience. How did you go from being a law student at UCLA, right, and getting yourself in here to becoming the lawyer in Hollywood?
You know, it started right here in Las Vegas. I was a prosecutor in the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office for about 2 years. I left, and within 6 months, I got a call from Liza Minnelli, who told me that her choreographer and one of the dancers got arrested in Las Vegas. It happened to be Linda Lovelace, and the choreographer was David Winter. And they said, they need your help right away. And I came to Las Vegas. It was the first nationally publicized case. Linda Lovelace was arrested for possession for sale of cocaine. It was a total setup. They didn't want her here. They didn't want her to review here. They wanted, to keep the Las Vegas type of show, not her type of show, which probably would be very big today.
Yeah.
But we won that case, and since then,
the rest is history.
You got a lot of celebrities calling and doing a lot of high-profile cases.
So what drives you today? You have this unique perspective. You could have stopped after a very successful and long legal career. You could have stopped as a named partner, been of counsel for any law firm you chose. You could have stopped after you co-founded LegalZoom and Right Counsel, both of which, if I understand properly from our discussions and from the research I've done, you did to make the legal field better. You find a problem. As an investor, I love this. I love talking to people that have firsthand experience with the problem and then solve that problem because it needs to be solved from their perspective. So what drives you now? Why do you keep doing these things?
I think I'd be bored if I didn't stay busy. So I try to do 3 things in my life in this order of importance. One is philanthropy and dealing with the epidemic of drug disease in America. 2 would certainly be my business stuff. And 3 is I get to take cases I like now and then. I was up here for the last 5 years representing Steve Wynn on a $1 billion take-all case.
Good for you. I hear the same answer from every hyper-successful entrepreneur I know, and I see you as more entrepreneur than lawyer.
I am much more entrepreneurial than a lawyer.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. I'm going to throw the cards away and just riff with this. A subject that is very near and dear to you, which is the Brent Shapiro Foundation. Many years ago, you lost a son to drug and alcohol disease. And I'd like you to tell us a little bit about that foundation, some of your philanthropic efforts, the collaboration with the Boys and Girls Club of America, if you're comfortable with it.
Yeah, I'm very, very comfortable. So, 5 years ago, we decided to take the Brent Shapiro Foundation to a different level. It started with the death of Brent in 2005. He had been sober for 18 months, broke his sobriety at not a crazy party, but just kind of a back-to-school party. Was with a girlfriend who was a terrible influence and decided he could take a half of ecstasy and 2 Jägermeisters. And he got violently ill, but nobody called the paramedics because they didn't want us to know he had relapsed. And we got a call Sunday morning, and usually calls at 7 o'clock on Sunday morning on a back line are not good, and this one wasn't. Brent was not breathing, he was turning blue, and we knew when we got to the hospital before he did that the news would not be good. And we had to make a decision that no parent ever wants to make, and that was we had to let him go the next day that he was brain dead. And we thought about what we could do to make his life have impact with other people's lives. And we started the Brent Shapiro Foundation for Drug and Alcohol Awareness. And we did that for about the first 7 years. And recently, now, awareness is everywhere. And one of the things we did was get the Good Samaritan law passed in California, which is that nobody can be arrested even if they have drugs or if they're under the influence, if they take somebody to the hospital.
So you were part of this core initiative?
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's actually great. Thank you.
So after we were, got to the point where you no longer have to talk about awareness about drug and alcohol disease, we started something experimentally called Brent's Club. And the idea was to see what we could do to change the way peer pressure works with kids and to try to come up with an idea that could keep kids from experimenting with drugs. Because statistically, if we can keep a child from using drugs or alcohol before the age of 15, the chance of a lifelong problem decreases by about 500 to 800%. So the statistics were overwhelming. We decided we would try something that had worked in the past with drug addicts, and that is rewards. We'll do something for you in place of using drugs. And we closed down 4 blocks in East Los Angeles and Boyle Heights, in one of the most underserved areas in Los Angeles. We sent around vans, and we were surprised that 800 people showed up as families. We had a block party, we had Ferris wheels, we had food trucks, and we got our initial class of 25 kids with their parents to agree to let us test them randomly with saliva and DNA for alcohol and drugs. Today we have expanded. We have 9 clubs. We just opened one in the Bronx where they have 10,000 members. We opened one in Chicago. We're opening one in Oakland. We have one in Malibu. We have 4 more in Los Angeles. And our goal is very simple, that all athletes, all people who are getting jobs in every sector are now being tested for alcohol and drugs, primarily for drugs. And so a couple of weeks ago, we had the LA Dodgers at our club in East Los Angeles. We had Fernando Valenzuela, Matt Kemp, and 5 players that were playing that night. And we pointed to these players and said, these guys are testing, you guys should test. And our rewards are experiences that kids would never get. So we took 120 kids from East Los Angeles and gave them surfing lessons in Malibu.
That's great.
We take them on field trips to college campuses, to spring training for football teams, et cetera, et cetera. And if they stay in the program and graduate as sober high school students, they're eligible for a college scholarship. We have 20 kids now in college, and we're expanding that on a daily basis.
So Bob, we have a lot of stage speak. Absolutely. There's stuff we're supposed to talk about the script, but I mean this very genuinely. To have a profound loss like that, and to something from which you never recover fully, but to be able to take that and be strong and compassionate enough to change so many lives, and to really put yourself out there, right, and share that story is an extraordinary thing. So thank you very much.
Oh, you are.
Yeah, genuinely, thank you.
It makes our family feel good. We firmly believe that it takes a life to save a life, and that's what we're doing.
And it's a wonderful way to honor yourself.
Yes.
Beautiful. So let me ask, let me segue from this. I mean, it's hard to come back from that one, but let me segue that to a little bit of technology since we're at a tech conference.
Yeah.
How do you use technology to extend the reach of the foundation, or do you?
Well, we are using technology. Obviously, we have a website up. We have our newsletters. Everything is going through, but it's not really as advanced as you would for an internet company.
Yeah.
Like LegalZoom is a technology-based company. A foundation basically are human beings and interaction with human beings. So September 7th, we're having a major event called the Summer Spectacular. Mario Lopez is going to host it, and David Lee Roth is going to do a concert.
Yeah.
So we raise money that way, but it's not technology-driven yet.
Yeah.
But I think there is an opportunity as we grow to through social media.
So it's interesting. You have used technology to your advantage, and during your career, the legal field has changed dramatically. LegalZoom, you look at it today, it seems like such a simple thing. We'll just put some basic forms on there, and at the time, it was absolutely profound. But now I want to talk to you a little bit about the blockchain. I want to talk to you about this industrial revolution we're facing, and things that seem so simple in hindsight when you did them certainly were not. So let me ask you a couple of questions from a lawyer's perspective, if I may.
Sure.
So we sit, on the precipice of this industrial revolution. All these different technologies coming in and changing every industry. We've been largely focused here on cryptocurrencies and monetary systems and how we can affect that. We've seen strong capitalist cases like the ones I like to talk about, and some amazing ones like Trisha and Human are working on. Talk to me a little bit about the blockchain and the concept underneath the blockchain is this idea of this immutable ledger. It's this peer-to-peer, irrevocable record that is chunkified and distributed to millions of computers around the world. It never goes away. And it tracks every transaction, it tracks every record. And I imagine, depending on which side of the bench you're sitting on, this is a spectacular thing or a terrifying thing. How do you see this impacting your field?
It's very interesting. Technology and law has created something that is very beneficial and has tremendous downsides. Just what you said, records never go away. So if anybody wants to check on somebody, on their past, there's no way you can get anything off a record in a criminal case. And that's very, very disturbing. Even if you get records expunged, even if you get records completely erased from the court, there's still a record that it was erased.
Yeah. A record of your removal of the record.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So I think it's, there's a lot of downsides to what has happened in the law field with technology, but there's a lot of upsides. We're getting to the point where you don't have to go to court to do anything except try a case. You can do all the documentation file. That's when we started LegalZoom. I mean, everybody was rushing to court with every type of paper. People were standing in line. They were asking questions. The clerks wouldn't give any answers. And we found a way for the average person to get legal documents that they need online that could be filled out by somebody with a 5th grade education.
So let me extend upon that. That, I think, was a brilliant move. I'm personally a customer, so I thank you. right? And it's wonderful to be able to download a form and do the most basic of transactions.
Let me just correct you right there.
Sure.
They're not forms.
Yeah, okay.
Behind that form are 1,000 people that are
true.
full-time employees that are reviewing every single document to make sure they're as accurate and legally perfect.
Well put. But they don't charge me $1,200 an hour.
That's correct.
so I think
Exactly right.
So let me ask you about this concept, and then we're getting the wrap up signal, but we'll talk a little bit longer. Talk to me about this concept of smart contracts. So within the blockchain, we have this essentially a technology protocol that dictates that we can establish a contract and enforce the fulfillment of said contract without a third party. Again, you're getting into a very tenuous area because there are some contracts that are extraordinarily complex that perhaps do benefit from the advice of a lawyer. How do you feel about this as an entrepreneur, and how do you feel about it as a lawyer?
So, as a lawyer, I see so many problems that are endemic with any type of contract, let alone a contract that you can't really see.
Yes.
From a technology standpoint, it's fantastic. I mean, if people can come to an agreement and not have any arguments over whether or not it's enforceable, it's a wonderful thing, but it's very, very rare. I mean, really what you're talking about is, if you take it to the ultimate extreme, you're talking about a handshake contract.
Yes, that's exactly right. It's immutably recorded and distributed around the world.
Exactly right.
That's right.
It's there forever.
Yeah. Let me ask one more question, then we're going to move into the Q&A, and we'll keep talking along these lines. So you've had this great foresight, and I see you as a lawyer that is a lucky guy that made an interesting decision, but has also mastered your craft. You're world class in what you do, and I thank you for doing it, well beyond where most people would have quit, because I see it gives you energy. You saw LegalZoom and helping people with these processes. You saw right counsel connecting people with the right lawyer, which means everything. It's incredibly important. You've dabbled in commerce and trade with Shoedazzle. What do you see next? Is there anything else that you see on the horizon that's another problem you want to go solve?
It's interesting. I was reading an article this morning that I think people who are at my stage are beyond what's going to be done in the future. The greatest entrepreneurial group of people in the history of the world are the millennials. And they're going to come to us, and we're going to be able to try to put something together and help them.
Interesting. Listen, Bob, really appreciate the talk. I'm going to invite you over to the sofa so we continue today, but you're an inspiration, and really just a pleasure to meet you and talk with you.
My pleasure.
Bob Shapiro.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.